Between now and the next few minutes, you'll be on your way to becoming a Photoshop master. When you first open Photoshop, you see the home screen. It will show some suggestions sometimes. Let's hide it. The home screen shows a list of recent files that you worked on. So even if you drag and drop this image or document and just close it, it will show up in the home screen. For simplicity, we are only working with the Home tab, which you will use 99% of the time. Now, when you open any image in Photoshop or create a brand new document, you see a completely different screen. This is the screen where you create your masterpiece. This is the screen where you work. That's why it's called the Workspace. So when you first open Photoshop, you see the home screen. And then when you open any image or create a new document, you see the Workspace. Now, how do you switch between the home screen and the Workspace? Let's say we open up a bunch of photos. Now, when you close all of these documents one by one, like so, of course, you will see the home screen. Alternatively, if you want to keep your documents open and not close it to get to the home screen, let's open the files again. And this time, all you need to do is to click on the home icon on the top left corner, click on it, and this gets you to the home screen. The icon says that. And if you click on the same area with the Photoshop icon, it takes you back to the Workspace. The Photoshop Workspace consists of three major things. Just remember, cake tastes perfect. In other words, C for canvas, T for tools, and P for panels. So the Photoshop Workspace consists of canvas, tools, and panels. Imagine an artist who paints on canvas. He has his tools like the brush tool, the chisel, the eraser, the pencil, right? He has his palettes where he mixes and adjusts those colors. And then finally, he has the canvas where he creates his masterpiece. Similarly, in Photoshop, you have your brush tool for brushing, move tool for moving, etc. And just like an artist has her palettes and other adjustments, you have panels in Photoshop like layers panel, channels, paths, and many more. For instance, the layers panel maintains the stack of all of the graphics and adjustments. Here we have clouds first, and then we have mountains on top of that, and then we have birds on a separate layer. And then finally you have your canvas where you're creating all of this. Now the way I set up my table is according to my requirements, and the way you set up yours is according to yours. Similarly in Photoshop, you set up your workspace according to your requirements and how you use Photoshop. To get started, you can set up a workspace like mine and then build on that. Let's drag and drop an image to start from scratch. And now we are in the Photoshop workspace. To start with a workspace that looks like mine, you want to go to Window, Workspace, and then pick the default Workspace Essentials. Click on it. You might want to go there again, Window, Workspace, and Reset Essentials in case you may have moved things around. A workspace is personal to you, and I recommend keeping only the things that you need in it. And as you continue to master Photoshop, you will continue to customize it to your liking. This is how I set up my workspace. I want my tools in 2 rows, so I click on this arrow. Now they're clean and nice. Also, I don't need color, so you can drag it out and close this panel. You can also drag out an entire group like this and just close it. I sometimes need properties, so I drag it out and keep it here like so. I don't need libraries, so I drag it out and close it. I use adjustments in a different way from a different place. So let's close this as well. Of course, I need layers, so make sure it's activated. I need channels, paths, that's fine. History is open. We may need that for undo or going in a previous history state. And then you have comments. I really don't need it, so let's just close it. Bring it out and close it. And that's what my workspace looks like. And you can adjust it to your liking, like so. Now to save this workspace, go to Window, Workspace, and then New Workspace. Let's name this PiXimperfect. You can continue to save the menus, keyboard shortcuts, and all of that, and click on Save. And now whenever you have moved things around, closed things, you can always go to Window, Workspace, and select PiXimperfect. But since you move things around, let's go to Window, Workspace, and Reset PiXimperfect. This will get it back to the state of how you saved it. Here's an important announcement. For some reason, if you don't see a panel, for example, you're looking for the Layers panel and you just cannot see it, just go to Window and click on Layers. And the Layers panel will show up and you can stick it wherever you want. All of the panels in Photoshop can be found in the Window menu. So if you don't see a panel, just find it in Window. Now there are 3 awesome bars in Photoshop, and even though they don't serve drinks, they're still literally awesome. Options bar, status bar, and menu bar. Awesome. That's how. The options bar is here at the top, and whatever tool is selected, it will change according to that tool and it will show the options for that particular tool. For example, if the brush tool is activated, it will show you the options to change the size of the brush. This is a small size. This is a larger size. It will show you the options to change the opacity, the smoothing, different properties of the brush. The status bar shows the status of the document in real time, and this, my friend, is the status bar. If you click on the arrow right here and click on document profile, it will show you the document profile. If you click on the arrow right here and click on document dimension, like so, it tells you it is 6000 by around 4000 pixels. In other words, a 24 megapixel image. The menu bar is the main control of Photoshop, and it is located at the very top. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you ask for the menu, you can order anything you want from the menu. Similarly, in Photoshop, you can order it through the menu bar to do hundreds of things. For example, you want to blur this, go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you can blur it like so. Hit OK. So just like in a restaurant where you order from the menu, you order Photoshop through the menu bar. Whenever you're learning any creative software, the first thing we need to learn is the OCS of it. In other words, how to open a file, create a file, and save a file. To open a file, go to File, Open. Locate the file that you want to open and click on Open. There you go. Another way to open a file is to simply drag and drop. Let's go to our Finder or Explorer, and let's say we want to open this. Do not drag and drop over an existing document. It will layer up on top of it, as you can see right here. We don't want that. We want to open this as a separate document. So let's go back to our Finder and then drag and drop right here in this space. Once you do that, it will open up as a separate document. Now you don't have to worry about this if you're in the home screen. Let's go to the home screen by clicking on the home icon, and here you can drag and drop wherever you want, and it will open as a separate document. Also, you can use the keyboard shortcuts too. So right next to where it says open, it's Command O or Control O. If you press that shortcut, the dialog box automatically shows up. So many ways of doing the same thing. Now to create a new file, what are we creating? File. So we need to go to File, and we are creating a new one, so let's click on New. There are lots of presets to choose from. To keep it simple, let's go to Art and Illustration. Let's go with 2000 pixel grid. You can change it right here. Let's go for 1500 width and 1500 height. And you can name it whatever you want. Let's name it New File and click on Create. And there you have your brand new document, New File. Now you can do whatever you want right here. Place an image. Now to place it, you can place it over the canvas, drag and drop right there. We can make it bigger by using these like so. By the way, if you hold the Alt key or the Option key and then make it bigger, it will make it bigger from the center. Hit Enter or Return. Now you can type some text over it. Let's select the text tool right here. Click, and let's type in landscape. Now the options for any tool is going to show up where? In the options bar, right? So let's select this text. Click on this to change the color to whatever you want. So I'm going to set it to white and hit OK. To adjust the size, select the Move tool right here and then press Ctrl or Command T for the transform to show up. Don't worry, we're going to cover this later. Let's make this larger like so. We're keeping it basic for now. Hit Enter or Return. Now to bring it to the center with the Move tool still selected at the options bar, click on the three dots. We want to align it to the center of the canvas, right? So let's set Align to Canvas, and then all of these will be activated. Click on this. Now it's at the center horizontally. And if you click on this, now it's in the center vertically as well. Now, how do you save it? If you want to save in a format that allows further editing, simply go to File and then Save, or use the shortcut Ctrl or Command S. Pick the location you want. You can rename it here, and then you want to make sure you set the format to Photoshop or PSD, Photoshop document. This allows for further editing, and then click on Save. Hit OK, that's fine. Now when you close it, it's going to show up in the home screen. And also if you go to the location where you saved it, you will find your rename it.psd. Drag and drop right here, and all of these adjustments and text is right here, which you can change. Now when you make a change to this document, for example, you moved the text a bit like this. Now if you go to File, Save, it will not save as a new document. It will just update the existing document. If you want to save it as a brand new document that is also editable, in other words, another version of it, go to File and this time select Save As. Let's rename it version 2, like so, and click on Save. Hit OK, and now you're working with rename it version 2. While the previous document is still there because you saved it. If you go to your Finder, we have the version 2 and we have the previous version. And if you want to export it for your social media or your website, simply go to File, Export, and then Export As. You can select the format like JPEG or PNG. Let's go with JPEG, set the quality of it, and it will give you an estimated size of that image. So if I decrease the quality, the size goes down as well. And then you can change all of these settings. You just want to make sure you check these two, convert to sRGB and embed color profile, and click on export. Choose where you want to export it. Let's name it social and click on save. And there we have our JPEG image ready to upload online. There are other options too for saving, like save a copy, save for web, but that's for some other time. To keep the tools in Photoshop organized, many similar tools are grouped into one area. For example, if you want to select the blur tool, it is inside of this group. If you see an arrow on the right bottom corner of any tool, which means that there are other tools in that group. There is an arrow right here. So if you click and hold, it will show other tools in that group. Let us select the blur tool. Now similarly, here we have the rectangular marquee tool, but we want to select the elliptical marquee tool. Click and hold, and here is the elliptical marquee tool. Let go, and there you have that selected. Now when you don't see that little arrow, it means that there are no other tools in that group, or it's not a group at all. For example, here with the zoom tool, there is no arrow. If you click and hold, no other tools show up. Let's talk about some important tools in Photoshop that will get you up and running. The move tool is for moving stuff. Let's select the move tool, the shortcut to which is V. If you have any other tool selected, if you press V, it will automatically select the move tool. Remember, move. E is silent, so it kind of ends with V, so that's why V is the shortcut. I just made it up for you to remember that. With the move tool selected for now, just turn off auto select if it's turned on, and then let's say you want to move the subject right here. Select the subject layer, and then you can just click and drag to move the subject. Let's say you want to move the logo right here. If you try to do that right now, still the subject moves because the subject layer is selected. You need to select the logo layer and then move the logo. Let's say you want to move the text, you would select that particular layer and move that. And that's how the move tool works. However, if you wanted to automatically select that layer, you can turn on auto select and you want to make sure layer is selected right here. And then when you click on the subject, automatically subject layer is selected. If you click and drag on the logo, automatically the logo layer is selected. But I recommend usually keeping auto select turned off because accidentally, sometimes it can happen that you're trying to move the logo, but you accidentally may move the background. The brush tool is for painting, and through painting, we can do a lot of things. Remember, the shortcut is B. B for brush, and B is the shortcut. So when you have any other tool selected, press B for the brush tool. Keep in mind the B shortcut is used for pencil tool, mixer brush tool, adjustment brush tool as well. So if it selects any of those tools, you can always press Shift B to switch between similar shortcut tools. Right now, it is at the brush tool. Or if you don't want to be confused for now, just click on the brush tool. That's all. Now, how do you pick the color for the brush? You see these two squares right here. The one at the top is the foreground color and the one at the bottom is the background color. Click on it to set it up. Let's select H for hue. You can pick any hue you want and pick any color inside of that. Hit OK. Remember, whenever you paint in the foreground color. So let's select the topmost layer and create a new layer by clicking on this button. This creates a new layer at the top. Now with the brush selected, foreground color, which we had selected, you can paint whatever you want like this. Now, of course, you can set the background color to something else, but it doesn't paint with the background color. It only paints with the foreground color. Now, the foreground and background colors are very useful when you have to paint in multiple colors. Right now, the foreground color is green, background color is red. If you want to paint in red, press X. This will switch the foreground and the background color. Alternatively, you can also click on this button right here to switch. Right now it is red. You press X, again it's green. Press X, again it's red. Also, if you want to set it to defaults, press D to set it to black and white. You can choose your brush right here from the top. Let's click here. You can change the size of it. This is smaller and this one is larger. You can choose a softer brush. If you click here, let's go for a soft round brush. There are several groups right here built into Photoshop. I have some additional ones. You can install or create brushes, but that's for some other lesson. So right now this is a softer brush. You can change the opacity, flow, and many other settings of the brush from the top. Now, if you want to increase or decrease the size of the brush on the go, this is what you do. Let's just drag this layer and drop it into the trash can to delete it. Let's create a brand new layer again. you can press the square bracket keys, left square bracket key to decrease the size, right square bracket key to increase the size. This is large and this is small. There's more shortcuts, but I don't want to confuse you now. Right now you can see the brush. If for some reason you're not able to see the brush shape and you see something like this, it just means your caps lock is on. Turn off caps lock, you'll be able to see the brush again. Just as the name suggests, the text tool is for adding text, the shortcut to which is T for text. Although it's not necessary, you're welcome to bring in a cup of tea. Press T for the text tool, or you can just select it. Now, you can click to add text. This will bring up some sample text. Let's type in lavender. Alternatively, let's delete this layer, select this layer, and press the delete key. That's also another way to delete a layer. You can also click and drag to draw a text box, and then sample text shows up, and type in lavender as well. Up to you, write a paragraph, up to you. Now remember the options bar. Since the text tool is selected, it will show you all the options for that particular tool. In this case, the text tool. So you can select the text, change the font to whatever you want. So I'm going to change it to maybe Babus, bold. You can choose whatever you want. You can choose the type of the font from here. You can change the size. You can click and hold on the icon and drag it on the right to increase the size from there. Or you can type in a number, for example, 600 pixels, not aux. And of course, you can align it center, right, left, up to you, and change its color from here. This is fine, hit OK. Now remember I told you the move tool is something that you always get back to. So for proper movement, you can press V, not when the text is selected. Click on the outside, press V to get back to the move tool, and then you can move it however you want. And if snapping is turned on, if you go to view, snap is turned on, you can just move to the center and it will snap to the center. Now you can use the zoom tool and the hand tool separately, but I recommend using the shortcuts instead. It's more convenient. Of course, you can select the zoom tool from here, click and drag to the right to zoom in, drag to the left to zoom out. If it's not working, you want to make sure scrubby zoom is turned on. Also, you can select the hand tool. Right now, it is in this group, so click and hold and select the hand tool. As you're zoomed in, you can move around with this. So let's say we select the zoom tool, click and drag to zoom in, select the hand tool, and move around. This is not very convenient, especially if you're working with other tools. So instead of doing all this, let us try this. First of all, let's create a brand new layer at the top by clicking on this button. Then let's say we were working with the remove tool. All right, so let's click and hold into this group. You want to make sure remove tool is selected. By the way, if you're not able to see a particular tool, click on the three dots, pick edit toolbar. Inside of that, there may be some extra tools that are hidden. So you may want to drag it from here and bring it here and click on done. Now, very important shortcut to fit the canvas to the screen. If you're zoomed in too much, press Ctrl or Command 0 to do it. Now remember this shortcut, press Command or Control and spacebar. You will momentarily get to the zoom tool. You can click and drag on the right or to the left to zoom in and zoom out. As soon as you let go of Command and spacebar or Control spacebar, you get back to the tool that you're working with. Also, if you want to just move around, just hold the spacebar. Momentarily, the hand tool is there, and then you can move around like this. So these two keys, Command and spacebar, zoom in, zoom out, let go of the command, and now you have the hand. Keep holding the command and now you have the zoom. So convenient. Now, while we are here with the remove tool, let's set generative fill off for now. You want to make sure sample all layers and remove after each stroke is checked, and then just circle around the stuff that you want to remove. Like so. Gone. Similarly here. Gone. And you can go on and on like this and remove everything that's distracting. Here's the before and here is the after. Quick stuff. A selection in Photoshop is simply an area that you're targeting, and it's identified by marching ants. Not literally, but it looks like marching ants. The most basic way to do that is using the Lasso tool. There are many selection tools. There are many selection techniques. For now, let us select the Lasso tool. Let's say we create a selection of this area by clicking and dragging and drawing, and we select this car. Like so. Right now we have a selection and we can tell that with these marching ants. Now you can do whatever you want with it. You can take the brush tool and fill it up with white for some reason. You can blur it by going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. If you wanted to hide it for some reason in a series or something, you can select the move tool and move it out for some reason. Keep in mind, it's simply an area that you're targeting. By the way, if you're able to see the contextual taskbar, fine. If not, you can go to Window And you can turn on contextual taskbar. This has some other on-screen functions, but usually it's distracting for me, so I hide it. So click on the 3 dots and hide bar. Let's say you want to fill it with generative fill. You can fill it through the contextual taskbar, or you can go to edit and then generative fill. And you can type in whatever you want to fill this area with, or just leave it blank and click on generate. This is one of the latest features in Photoshop, and if you're using an older version of Photoshop, you may not have access to this one. And as you can see, it removed it. It generated an image that blends well. Here's the first option. Here's the second option. Here's the third option. You can go with any one of those, and there you go, car removed. Let's turn off and on this layer to see the before and after. Now, there are other more advanced tools and techniques that use machine learning to find the edges automatically. For example, in this case, let's make a copy of this background layer by pressing Ctrl or Command J. Remember this shortcut. Now, we want to make a selection of this person. How do we do that? You can use the Lasso tool and take your time to do it. It may not be very accurate. By the way, to remove the selection, press Ctrl or Command D to deselect. Remember this shortcut. D for deselect, and you're commanding Photoshop to deselect. So on a Mac, Command D, on Windows, Control D. So right here, you have other tools like the Quick Selection tool, which automatically tries to find the edges and does an incredible job. Now, since he's wearing striped shirt, it's getting a bit more difficult here. Now, there are other ways you can make selections as well. Press Ctrl or Command D to deselect. With any of these 3 tools right here selected, the Object Selection tool, Quick Selection, or the Magic Wand, any of those 3 selected, at the top, you'll see Select Subject. If you click on it, it automatically makes a selection of the subject. This is a pretty good starting point. With the selection active, click on the Mask button. What did it do? If we turn off the background layer, you'll see that it made the subject transparent. And how it did that? It created a mask right here. White are the areas which show up, black are the areas which hide. So if you hold the Alt key or the Option key and click on the mask, you can view the mask. You can see that the subject area is white and the other areas are black, which means that these other background areas are hidden and the subject area shows up. Click on the layer again to view the original layer. Now let's turn on the background layer. Now, why did we do that? Select the background layer and let's pick the text tool and click. If we type anything right here like magic, it is behind the separated subject. So let's go back to the Move tool, press Ctrl or Command T for transform. We're going to get to that later. And let's make it larger. So the text is now behind the subject. How cool is that? Hit enter or return. So first we have the original image with the background. Then we have the text. And then we have just the subject on top. Now, there are many other things like select and mask, select sky, but those are for advanced lessons. This is one of the most important features that you will use all the time. Here we have a blank document. On top of that, I'm just going to bring in this transparent bird. Click and drag and drop like so. Now, when you drag and drop, if your Photoshop is at default settings, it should show transform controls like so. And you can resize it from here. But what happens once you apply it? By hitting enter or return. How do we control it now? The long way of doing it is going to edit and then free transform. And now you can adjust it accordingly. Hit enter. The short way is pressing Ctrl or Command T. T for transform. It does the exact same thing. If you resize now, the aspect ratio is maintained. But if you hold the Shift key, you can squish it, make it longer. That's up to you. If you let go of the Shift key, the aspect ratio is maintained. You can also rotate it by taking the cursor outside. It shows a bent arrow icon with arrows on both sides, and you can rotate like this. If you hold the Shift key, it will rotate 15 degrees at a time. How cool is that? Let's keep it at this. You can even flip it, right click on it, and you can flip it horizontally. You can also flip it vertically, which I didn't want. So right click on it, flip vertical again. Now also you may notice an anchor point right here. It's also called reference point in Photoshop. You can move this around as well. If you're not able to see this, you want to make sure this checkbox is checked. Now wherever is the anchor point, rotation happens from there. So if I move it right here and then I try to rotate, it rotates from that axis. You can also make stuff larger and smaller from there. If you bring the anchor point to the center, hold the Alt key or the Option key, and then try to make it larger or smaller, it becomes larger or smaller from center or wherever is the anchor point. Make sense? Once you're okay with everything, hit enter or return. Also, the most important thing in Photoshop, which I wish I had in real life, undo, redo. Select the brush. Let's say we paint like so. You want to go back, press Ctrl or Command Z or Z to go back. Press Ctrl or Command Shift and Z to go forward. Back, forward, undo and redo. You can also go to Edit, Undo, Edit, Redo. Now, as you're learning all this, be sure to download the practice projects from the description to follow along and use the timestamps in this video to refer to different sections of it. I hope you're now more comfortable with Photoshop. Trust me, Photoshop is simple once you understand those simple concepts. If you want to master Photoshop in depth by mastering the concepts so that you never have to memorize the steps, check out PiXimperfect Pro, our ultimate platform to master Photoshop from start to finish and beyond. We have over 100 easy-to-grasp lessons that's going to guide you step by step into Photoshop mastery. They are structured in the right track so you never have to be confused. With over 200 practice projects, every lesson has real-world examples with real-world challenges that we follow along together. All of it is constantly growing as we add new content every month. After all, Photoshop is always evolving. Check out PiXimperfect Pro only on PiXimperfect.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.
What can I